I'm now live again, still dealing with tech issues. Tech issues. I'm inviting. And I am also going to invite Jamison. Nick's here. Nick's here, baby. How do we invite Jamison?
Oh my God, 3 coaches in
This
breakdown.
is fun for me. This is fun for me. These are my eyebrows.
I'm kind of triggered.
Are
No,
you triggered? Let's
okay.
talk about it.
Oh my God, no, I just, me and breakdown and discomfort, and it's great.
Ooh, yeah. Talk about that fucking trigger.
Hmm. So,
Let's start talking. We'll get Jameson in here. I'm not worried that it will work eventually. It's just the unknown of like, is it going to work in a minute? Is it going to work in 30
mm,
minutes? But we're going to get him. So
yeah.
here's what I would like to ask you, Nick. This week, what do you want?
Hmm. I want. Mm, I try to say I want relaxing and self-care, relaxation and self-care, but I've been doing that. Well, I
Okay.
shouldn't say but, and I've been doing that. Mm, I want to play. That's what I want to do. I want to play.
Mm, I like
Oh, I
that.
see that Jameson has joined.
Yeah. So we're getting there. We're getting there. We're getting there. I sent an invite as well as Jameson if you see any way to request to join. Do you see, Jameson, where it says like comment, like where you've been writing, and there's like 3 dots? If you click on that, is there an option there for request to join? Just wondering. I've never used this functionality before. I've always been on this side of it. I've always started the live. I don't know how to get into someone's world.
She loves to dom the conversation. Take charge.
Oh, it said Jameson's unable to join, which means that he probably tried to and it did not work. Nick, you have that sometimes where like it works on one device but not another.
Yeah, sometimes it won't let me on my iPad. Sometimes it will. Usually I just end up using my phone, which is what I'm using right now.
Okay. We'll see if maybe that's the issue. Okay, so in the meantime, and Jameson, I'm not worried. We're gonna get you in here. And apologies. And thank you. Um, anywho, um, okay, so you said play this week, right?
Yeah, I want play.
Yeah. So what are you doing to generate play this week?
Mm. So, yesterday I led a full day workshop, which, as you know, are just exhausting. You spend hours and hours and hours prepping, and then you lead the group, and then there's all the follow up and all the things, the laundry list of things. So, when I got home yesterday, I was like, oh my gosh, I really just need something. And the first thing that came to mind, I was just really exploring what I wanted. The first thing that came to mind was a pedicure. I hadn't had one
Mm,
and I hadn't had a professional pedicure in I don't know how long. Um, and I went and had my pedicure, and then I decided I never get polish. I don't know. I'll sometimes get a clear coat or something, and I was like, ooh, you know what? I want black. I want jet black lacquer on my toes. And I don't know, it's just fun and playful. And then I came home and there was some more play that we don't have to get into here. But I mean, so that's kind of that's what I'm doing right now. I think the play is self-care. And we've been having this conversation about desire and fulfillment, and we oftentimes desire and fulfillment conversations lead into sexual desire or the erotic or sacred sexual space, and we haven't I mean, we've gone there a little bit, but we've sort of skirted around it. But for me right now, that's where desire and fulfillment and play are.
Mm.
And yeah, so that's what I'm creating right now. What do you need
Cool.
right now?
What do I need?
What do you want?
Mm.
What do you
I
desire?
like that even more. All right, I'm just gonna keep inviting Jamison. I'm sorry, Jamison. We're gonna figure it out, I swear. I wish I had better instructions for you. I'm tech challenged. Keep playing. We're here for you. We're waiting. You're worth it. You're worth it. Um, what do I want? Um, I want to be, hmm, like what I want to be is like very present in each activity I'm doing.
Mm,
But I'm like not feeling the word presence right now. So I'm trying to think of a different word. Because to me, presence is like a certain like being, and I'm not really feeling that. And that's my own shtick, that's my own story. But I'm not feeling that. I'm just feeling like when I'm on this Instagram live, I want to only be on this Instagram live. I don't want to be thinking about the other
mm.
things. Like when I'm on a call with a client, when I'm hiking, when I'm having dinner, when I'm playing with my puppy, like I feel like I go through life, like in each activity, like to some degree appreciating it, but always thinking about what I could do, like what I could be doing instead. Um,
May I offer you the word engaged?
that's beautiful. Thanks for that offering. All
Mm.
right, we've got Caitlin here. She says, Jamison, here's Caitlin. When you start to watch, wait about like a minute, and then you'll see something pop up in the bottom that says request to join. So it takes like a few seconds. So if you don't see that now, maybe you want to exit, come back in, and then wait for that thing to pop up at the bottom that says request to join.
Do, do,
Um,
do, do,
we'll get him in
do,
here.
do, do, do,
We'll get him in
do.
here. So that's what I want. I
I hear
think,
that sexy husband of yours in the background.
yeah, he's talking to a client. This was not planned very well.
I love it.
um, yeah, so that's what I want, I think, from like a deeper answer. I think in terms of like results, like I really, really want Career 2.0 to be successful. Like I know that we have built an unbelievable program, and I just really am like, I want to create impact. I want to create impact for all of these human beings in this world and land those dream jobs and just like know that they've like done the thing that's like perfect for them.
So I love the plug for our program. And how are you how are you in creating engagement like right now in this week?
How am I?
Yeah. Yeah, you
In,
said you said you want to be engaged, right? So I'm
mm-hmm.
just I don't know.
Oh,
You
you're
but then
going
you
back.
jumped to the program. Yes, I'm going back.
Got it. How am I creating engagement? I don't know. I haven't been.
Hmm.
Um,
Maybe that's why you jumped to the other thing.
no, I think that when I think about what I want, I like to look at it on like different levels.
Say
Um,
more. Say more. What do you mean?
like I don't know, like I count like engagement answer as like something deep, like overarching, my experience of the world. And I think what I also want is like tangible results. And what I want tangibly is to get this program like really
Mm,
strong with an incredible cohort. I think that's like the biggest result that's on my mind right now. I think I'm trying to think if there's anything else in the results bucket. I don't know. But those are like the two big things that come to mind for me of
mm,
like what I want.
mm. I want to be in the Berkshires with you right now. That's what I want.
It's amazing. It's so beautiful out. It was supposed to be raining all day and it's like perfect blue skies.
I love
Um,
that.
yeah, it's cool. Oh, Jameson requested to join. Oh, I accepted. I accepted. I keep accepting. I hope it connects. Oh my God! I don't know how we did it.
I know. How do we do it?
Jameson, you get 100,000 points for your venture into Instagram world. How does it feel to be an Instagram user?
Oh, it's awesome. I mean, I've been here for 3 days now. I haven't posted a single thing yet. So it's
Yeah.
like you can go to
But you
J
like
Jacobs
already
coaching.
have followers. Like I went to click on you expecting it to just be me, and I was like, oh, this person's also following him.
Yeah, I think I have like 8 followers. It's a groundswell.
This is amazing. This is
Yeah,
amazing for you.
I know. I know. I play over in LinkedIn. You know, I have all my
Yeah, you're
photos
you're a
there.
big LinkedIner.
But it's always good to add more spaces, right?
I love that. What do
Yeah.
you love about LinkedIn as a platform?
Hmm. Facts, right? The average LinkedIn person makes 83,000 a year. Um, tons of career and executive and leadership coaching over there.
Yeah,
So it's just like it's a good spot.
it's a good spot. Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
I think you two
And not
haven't
by
met
not
before.
by
Oh, go
choice,
ahead.
by demographic,
By
right?
demographic. Right, right, right.
Yeah.
I get that. I get that.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think you two have met before. Nick, this is Jameson. Jameson, this is Nick.
Hey Nick.
Hello. So lovely to have you.
Oh, I'm so
Um,
excited to be here.
Jameson, do you want to introduce yourself? Do you want me to read your bio? Do you want to do both?
No, I want to back the whole thing up. Gabriella, what are you doing? Why are we here? What are these things that you're doing?
Let's back the whole fucking thing up. Thanks for the
Back,
invitation.
back, back it up.
Yeah, what are you up to? What are you doing?
I love this. So, Nick and I have been for about the past like year now, maybe a little bit less. We have been doing Instagram lives called Coach's Corner, which is like not a very original name. Um,
But we love
and but
alliteration.
Yeah, I
we
was gonna
love
say
it.
that. Good alliteration.
All I ever want to do is alliteration.
Yes.
And we decided originally we'd been doing it weekly and picking a new topic every time. And we decided to do a little pause and recalibrate. And we wanted to specifically do a series on desire and fulfillment. And so this is our series called Coach's Corner. What do you want?
I like it.
It's also leading up to our program that is starting next month. This is our second round of Career 2.0, which is all around like exploring different career paths for you. So for people who are like, I'm miserable in my job. I know I want to do something else, but I don't know what the something else is. So kind of we're just in conversations with like really cool people and we want to get to know what they want and how they find fulfillment, and then also how they do that for the people that they touch. So we're not only chatting with coaches, but we needed you because you're like my favorite ever.
Never trust the
um,
superlative, but okay.
you are I was about to say my least favorite, but that's also a
Yeah.
superlative. You're someone I know.
Right, right, right.
Um, and yeah, that's us. What had you say yes to joining us?
Well, it's like, why not, right? And I think the other piece is the conversation. I think there's a lot of interviews out there. I don't know that there's like you know, there's some conversation, but I think that's when it gets a little more fun, you know, less of an ad about me and more of like a conversation really driven, whether it's desire and fulfillment or whatever we want to talk about.
Yeah.
I think that's compelling and what brings people, you know, has them listening.
Thanks. I love
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I love bringing humanity to it. Like if you watch like our recording, most of it is like me and Nick just like fucking around.
Yeah.
But
Just
yeah, I like
kibitzing.
just kibitzing. I love it. Our thing used to be called Coach and Kibitz, and then our market research told us that people didn't know the word kibitz, and I miss being called Coach and Kibitz.
Yeah. Butch's Corner. I like it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So tell us who the hell you are and what you do with
Man,
your
I am
time.
all over the place right now, but oh, what parts do I want to tell you? So I'm about to launch the Money Context, right? Which is a course about shifting your relationship to money. It's not that you need another way to make money. It's actually the relationship you're in with money that's generating the result.
Mm,
70% of the people who get a large windfall of money, whether it's the lottery or inheritance or whatever, in 3 to 5 years are broke. So it wasn't actually a money issue. Like they didn't
mhm.
actually need more money. It's their energy or their relationship to money that's driving the results. So that'll be a 12-week, you know, program. We'll have 4 sort of workshops before that, and then launch a 12-week program. Looking at like your belief structure around money, your family belief structure around money, sort of all of it.
Oh,
Wow.
So
that's
so
so
that's like,
cool.
yeah, oh my God. Yeah, it's super cool. Really excited to both hear where people are in their money cycle and then really have them shift it up and make like a powerful, you know,
And
results.
if someone wanted to sign up for this course, where could they go, Jamison?
Right now, I have the website, themoneycontext.com. Um, I think next week the Eventbrites will be up for the workshops, and then that'll go into the larger, you know, into the be a feeder into the larger one. But if you're
Amazing.
just like, hey, I just want to get a flavor of it, we're going to look at like spend an hour on family belief systems around money. How were you raised with money? What does money mean in your life? And really help just kind of explore that. And then that'll lead into the larger course. Um,
This is amazing.
yeah.
If we had to make a bridge between the two conversations, like what is the money context? Um, what's its connection to themes of desire and fulfillment?
Yeah, I think a lot of people, I know my first relationship with desire was like, oh, maybe that'll happen. It was very
Mm.
distant. I was like, oh, I want this, but if it kind of lands in my lap, that'd be great.
Yeah, like I'll just wait for it and I'll hope and I don't have like a lot of, faith that it'll happen, but it would be cool.
Yeah. And I think now my relationship to desire is like, what do you actually want? And like, go create it, go have it. And the only thing that's actually in the way is that you think it's in the way. Like you're like, oh, I would love that, but that'll never happen. You're like, no, you get to
Yeah.
totally have that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I find that with my clients too, like when we're chatting and the response would be like, well, yeah, like I'd like this, but it's impossible, or like that's a silly thing to say, or whatever. And it's so funny because like over here, both as like who I am as a human, but also, being trained in possibility, I'm like,
Yeah.
who says, but it's so hard when we have those stories of, disbelief in us. It's so hard to shift it. Like, what do you do with a client, money or otherwise, like with a topic that they're like, yeah, I've got this thing that I want, but we'll see. I don't think it's realistic.
Yeah. I mean, first you do have to check their feet. Like, why do you want it? You know, I've had clients go, oh, I
Mm,
want to make 2 million a year. Like, okay, like what's that? Like, what does that actually mean? Like,
mm.
aside from the dollar amount, like why 2 million? What does it mean to you?
Shh.
What's the experience you're having? What's your family life like?
Yeah.
And when we drilled down, it was like, we got to things like respect. Like he wants respect. And you're like, okay, well, that's not, you don't need
Mm.
$2 million necessarily to have respect, right?
Yeah.
So, and then we look for like, what's the lowest number we can make that has you feel incredibly free, right? So you have 2
Mm.
million, but at 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 a month, are you feeling pretty free? Like what's got you at the sort of lowest rung of that feeling that you're going after trying to create? And so you realize, wow,
Oh,
40,000 a month, I feel amazing. Cool, we'll still get to the 2 million, but let's target that first threshold where you feel, connected and feel
I,
good
I
Mm.
and
love it. You
inspired.
get the like the deeper thing, like the like okay, like that's the content, right? That's the
Mhm.
goal. But like for what? Like,
Yeah,
you
like,
know, what's the
Mhm.
feeling you want or what do you want to accomplish? And then it's almost like, okay, well, what are there ways that we can actually accomplish that feeling or like touch upon that that doesn't have it be in this like
yeah,
grandiose, like I want $2 million.
right.
Mm.
Yeah, and then
That's
from
really,
coach, it's never like you can't have $2 million or like, oh, you
yeah.
made 30,000 last year. I think you're dreaming. It's really like cool. Let's throw a project design around it, and like, what are the actual steps that are going to have you create that? And then we'll just look at the steps. Maybe they realize like, oh my gosh, I'm not sleeping if I hit that number right now. Okay, cool. Like, what are you committed to? Both getting sleep, having a good life, and like generating results in your life.
Oh, you're so good.
Mm.
What are some of the goals that
But
your clients are up to right now?
I think, I have a lot in career, right? So people are just like, but it's really not just looking for a job. It's really looking for a fit in that the company that they're actually working for is
Yeah.
like the right culture and it feels like the right, you know, um, feels like the right fit for them. Uh, I think people tend to go for the position of the job without really doing their homework around like what the actual culture is like. And then
Yeah.
what are your conditions of satisfaction around that? But I do have clients who are entrepreneurs as well, who are trying to, go after, a dollar amount or certain type of
Mhm.
business. Usually we're looking at how can they get supported so they're not trying to do it all alone. Um, I think a lot of people try to, do it alone. And it's like,
Mm.
in those questions, like if you were your own boss, where would you put you?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, what's the talent? Like, I actually don't want you making a business card. Like, hire someone to go make a business card. Like I actually want you in front of customers or doing the thing that you're talented at, but not,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So um, what else? I've had clients write books. I've had them move up positions. At work. I had a client just recently. She moved up 2 positions in a year. Normally take
Mm.
What?
10 years to like get to that next level, and she did it in 2.5. Um,
Amazing.
yeah, but it depends on what. And then I have leaders who are like working with 10, they're managing 10 other people and like they still have deliverables. They're also managing other people. They have
Yeah.
things to do. So like what's actually your intention and what do you want to create? And I've had a lot of people who are, they're like, I'm getting through the workday, like work's coming at me and I'm doing the work, but I'm not moving my agenda forward. So I
Mm-hmm.
need some coaching to help me like actually move my agenda forward so that I can create what I want versus just like, doing everything that was requested of me that day. Um,
I'm really curious. I've heard you talk a little bit about support, and then I'm also hearing you talk about teams in different contexts, and the team that you're essentially a part of too for these clients, right? And
right.
I've been thinking a lot about that, about the role of community or the role of team in desire and fulfillment. And I'm really curious to hear your thoughts around that, like that collective movement, forward to whatever the thing is.
Yeah. So right now I'm in the middle of myself of a huge pivot towards like the money context is just like one thing I'm doing, but I just moved over everything to J Jacobs Media, and I have a whole team that like development team over there. I have other people that I rely on, and I'm looking to hire like another me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because what I'm looking at places where I can leverage my time and still be effective, still be a leader, still be in the space, but I'm not doing the like day-to-day work. And in my past, I would be someone who would just do all the work.
Mm.
Um, so it's just stepping out of that of trying to do the work and get more into like what is the relationships you can generate and help people go after their vision and still, generate results. You know?
Mm. I love that so much because I think it's reframing what work is, right? You still get to do the work. You're still working, but you have shifted your relationship to work and what work looks like for you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing something similar for myself right now, so I'm right there with you.
Yeah. It's like super uncomfortable because and the thing is when something goes wrong, the tendency will be to take it over, right? So just like, I'll just do it. And it's not really in service of me to do that. Um,
Mm,
but yeah, you can leverage your time in such powerful ways as a coach because, like I coach, I have a team of 11 people at the World Financial Group, and then I'm coaching them on like what they want to create, but then I get a portion of what they create, you know?
mm,
So, but those bigger questions, right? Like, well, why? Like, what does that actually mean, whatever your goal is, right? Why that goal? What does it mean? Is it arbitrary? And what's the vision, right? Because um, it's like if I tell you how to do something and it doesn't work out, you'll just be like, I tried it. But if you hold a vision, you
Mm.
like figure out all the ways to like create the vision. So you might
Mm.
try one way and go, hey, wait, this is my vision, and then try another way.
mm.
So it's so much more powerful if we start with vision, like what's it actually look like if everything's working out and you're generating the results that you want, and like tangible, like what does that look
Yeah.
like? What's a day in that life?
Hmm.
Mm.
You know?
Well, it feels a little meta because like I got really curious about like for you, right? Like if you got supported and you had, some things off of your plate, like what does it open up for you? What does it make available for you in your life?
Oh, it makes everything available. Like I can't actually do it all, right? We have J Jacobs
Mm.
Media, we have my coaching, leading other teams. I'm creating the lifeinsurancemarket.com, which will be a whole lead generation thing. Um, I own a company called Menu Ordering Solutions. Like I have a whole team over there working with restaurants in the restaurant space. So I think the thing is like the pivot, right, is to realize you're a coach, you're working with clients, you're helping them live their best life, but then you're using that same skill set with yourself to go generate other things and then be coach in those areas. Like, don't be worker in those other areas, be coach. And then from there, you're inspiring them to do what lights them up and what connects them. And then part of being on your team is that they get coaching, right? So that's really powerful.
That's so cool. I also like really was thinking about, the relationship between like, you know, practice what you preach almost. Now I know with
Mhm.
coaching we're not really preaching, but it's like the same kind of idea of like I don't know if you either of you can relate to this, but like I'll have a week where like all my clients are bringing a similar theme and it's the same shit I'm going through too.
Yeah,
Right? It's the same stuff I'm bringing to my coach, excuse me. And so it's um I think it's just I think it speaks so much to like this cycle of support and why it's so important that we get supported in this world because we cannot do it alone.
yeah. Well, I had to shift like those situations where you make money off of someone else's work, right? So it's like I have an SEO guy, he's amazing. I charge a certain amount, I pay him, I make the difference. I didn't actually do any work, right?
Yeah.
So my first thought was like, that doesn't feel fair, it doesn't feel
Mm,
right. I should give him more money, whatever the conversation in my head's going on. But then when you walk into a Target or you walk into like, a store, this is what's happening everywhere. This is like
yeah.
part of basic capitalism. And the guy's super happy to get the job, right? And he's defining his prices. I don't define his prices, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's fine, but there was like a kind of like a not fair or not right or not good that I did have to look at to shift that so
Yeah.
that it wasn't like, don't do that. Don't take yourself out because, you know, it should look more, um, I don't know, healthy
Yeah.
or nice or good in a perfect world, right? So,
Well, I think going back to like themes that might come up around like money contacts is, something we talked about a lot in my training, as you know, Jameson, is, you know, I think sometimes people who are going into coaching or, therapy or really like supportive modalities and healing modalities, right? We have a common value of like wanting to help all the people. And
Yeah,
so then we almost feel guilty about charging
right.
because we're like, we want it to be accessible. We want it to not be a burden to the client. Because I value helping all the people, I might as well just like spread my love. Like, why do I need money? I'm happy to do it for free, so I might as well do it for free.
Yeah,
And I think that kind of reminded me of what we were talking about is like these stories that come in of like, oh, it's not nice, it's not fair, because like I would do it for free, but I
right.
can't.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think, well, the other thing is you rob people of their like breakthroughs around it, right? So it's like that's really what happens. Like, um, if someone's not charging what they're worth, then that's something that they have to like work out for themselves, right? Like, it's not for you to fix that for them,
Yeah.
you know?
I
And the same thing
recently.
with coaching. If you don't pay it, like, if you pay very little for coaching, you don't take it very seriously. So suddenly when
Mhm.
you have vacation coming up or a friend wants to go take you out, you're like, oh, sorry, coach, like heading out, you know?
Mhm.
So it is also like, it is the accountability on the other end.
Yeah, I remember when I first started with a coach, my parents were supporting me financially for that experience, which I'm incredibly grateful for, and the fact that they valued that. But I remember about a year in, my coach brought it to me and said, what would it look like if you contributed to this financially? And I was like, why
Mm.
do you care? Literally, I was like, you get the same amount. Like, what are you talking about? And I like to think I'm a very committed person. I'd like to think there wasn't like a problem, but like,
Right.
could it have shifted how I showed up to coaching or how I was committed to coaching by really having that ownership?
Yeah, that's so cool. It's so important because like, that I can't generate the results for my clients. Like I can't talk differently at work for them or show up more powerfully or go get the sales, right? So they have to do it. And I've turned people away saying, unless you like, let's get clear about what you actually want out of coaching, because if it's just 4 conversations, probably not that exciting.
Yeah.
If it is that like doubling your income, going after the lifestyle you want, having that great relationship, absolutely worth it.
Yeah.
So it's really like they're standing for their vision.
Hmm.
I think the other thing is like that the thing like, there's people who go to Harvard Law who don't practice law. And there's people who go to Harvard Law who run multi-billion-dollar law firms. So is it the education of the individual? And it's always the individual. Like you have to show up for you. So you can empower and disempower anything, but if you really empower coaching, it's amazing. You know?
Well, I think for me, part of this conversation is distinguishing cost from value, right? I think
Mhm.
they're two very different things, and that's often like an area to explore,
Yeah,
right? Like, what is your relationship to cost, and like, what is the actual value or the impact or whatever other word we want to plug in there, right?
yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah,
yeah, and you define the value, right? Like if
Exactly,
you
exactly.
exactly,
if you don't do
yeah,
anything, then it's not going to be very valuable for you. Um,
exactly.
yeah, and if it's uncomfortable, guess what? You show up a lot more. If you're like, hey, I'm paying $1,000 a month, like I'm gonna
I'm
do
gonna
it.
fucking do this. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
this
yeah,
is
yeah,
it. Yeah,
yeah. Uh,
yeah.
and I think it's also not just the dollars too. Like I also think like I think about like what's the cost of my desire, right?
Mm,
Like the cost, like the in order to get the majority of things that I want are outside of my current comfort zone or outside of what's predictable for me to generate results already.
yeah,
So the cost is getting like wildly uncomfortable and putting myself out there and making mistakes and upsetting other people and not sleeping. And I could go on for hours, like what the
Yeah.
potential cost could be, but it's up to me to decide whether it's worth it. Right.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and I could say it's not. Right. There are plenty of
Yeah.
times where I'm like, I'm just not in the mood to be pushed emotionally right now.
Yeah.
Um, but like, if we really value what we desire in life, whatever that is, then there is a cost, but we also get to decide whether that cost is worth it.
Yeah.
Mm.
And usually, it's it impacts in ways you never imagined. Like, yeah, there's this result, but then you've shifted your whole context or relationship to maybe your desires or fulfillment, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like now it's so different.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that, so the investments you make in yourself are like way more profound than anything you could buy or,
Mm.
it's
Yeah.
yeah, the dividends are like forever.
So funny, like when I think about like enrolling clients into working with me or in a program or anything like that, like, we use the word investment now. And part of it is, cheeky, like the new sales talk, right? We
Right.
don't say price, we say investment. But like, there's a reason that we chose the word investment. And I think about
Yeah.
that a lot. Like when I say it, I'm like, oh, it feels fake and forced. I'm like, no, but I actually really view this product as an investment, right? Like,
Yeah.
especially, I mean, it's very easy to see with like any of our career services, which all three of us work in. Like, you invest X amount and you get this new job that not only brings more happiness, more fulfillment, more everything, more time with your family, more impact that you're creating, but maybe also more money.
Yeah.
Mm.
It literally is an investment. It's not just slang.
I love to flip it though and be like, why would you hire me as a coach? Right.
I love that.
Because it's like,
Mm.
um, we're so used to selling people, and the opportunity is like, what's the value for you? Why would you hire me?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it just gets them thinking like, oh, well, I would do this and I would do that, I would do that. You just write it all down. And then when they're in their fear and their worry and their self-doubt, you're like, hey, these are the things you said you wanted. And that those were the things like that coaching would have you access. So it's like, now I'm not trying to just think about what I think they know they might want and it's all hit and miss, but now it's super specific.
I
Well,
love
and
that.
you can get a pulse on expectations, right? Like
Yeah.
what are they expecting from you, right?
Mm.
Can
And
I
I
deliver
can't,
that?
yeah, and I can't want it more than them. It's like I
Yeah.
can't want this more than you. Like you have to want it,
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a
Uh,
client that I was working with for a number of months, and the sessions were quite challenging. I think we weren't getting into our groove. And, eventually we had this big conversation about potentially ending, his contract early.
yeah.
And I remember asking him something like, what do you want to generate? What are you committed to? And then like, are you willing to put, these other stories or the other patterns down to generate that? And in that moment, I'm patting myself on the back and I'm like, oh, I'm putting it right in his face. And, we're going to get there and I'm going to remind him what he wants to generate. And he goes, no. And so I just said, all right, like, then let's not waste each other's time. Right. Like
Yeah.
I know that he could have absolutely created the results he wanted, but as literally what you just said, like, I can't want it more than him. And also like going back to that idea of value and investment, like at that point in time, he was not valuing it
Right.
um, at what we were currently in partnership for. So
Yeah.
it was fine.
Mm.
I was like,
Yeah.
great, bye.
But it's so good. Like it sounds like he went to the edge of his comfort zone, right? And he'll come back to it. He'll look at it again. And where are the places in your life where you're relating to something as if like that's the experience of it
Mm-hmm.
versus like, and also like, how are you contributing to that experience? So he may say like, well, this coach doesn't get me and this isn't working and da da da. But like, where's the ownership for him and in his experience, right?
Yeah.
And you know, the place my curiosity just really has me going is how this conversation applies to relationships outside of a coaching relationship, right? We're talking
Yeah.
about a transactional business relationship, but I'm also really present to the fact that this applies to all sorts of relationships, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, and it well, whether it's work, relationship, right? It's like, what is your vision? What do you want to create, right? Because it isn't just like whether you're happy or not. It's like actually like, what if you could actually steer the relationship and create the outcome you want to generate together, you know?
Yeah.
But it does come from like, I don't know. You may ask like, why are you with me to the person you're with, and they'll get you super
Ugh,
present for
I
why
ask
they're
that
with
all
you.
the time. I want all the compliments.
Or even with familial relationships or
Yeah.
friendships, or I mean, I think it's an interesting place to play and explore.
Yeah, I would say most coaching is just like at the end of the day, real conversations. Like
It's real conversations coming from
it's like in a
curiosity.
meeting, you're like, what is the intention of this meeting? What do we want to create? And people just don't talk like that.
Yeah.
And so when they hear that, they're like, wait, I have a say in how this goes and I can contribute.
Well, what I'm
Yes, you
also
do.
hearing, firstly, I love that, like giving people the opportunity to be like, oh, I have a say. But also, I think like us as humans, we always often um, assume that like we know what the other person wants or we know what the other problem is. We know what, and I think even just having that moment, a friend comes to you and is upset, like taking a second to be like, hey, like, what are you looking for? Or how can I support
Mhm.
you? And
Yeah.
maybe they just want to listen, or maybe they want a hug, or maybe they want you to problem solve, or maybe they want you to go beat up the bully. Like, but
Right.
actually asking, like, hey, look, how do you want me to be with you in this? Or like, you know, offering like, support before someone's actually asked for it. Like
Right.
maybe
And
they
and
don't,
and
maybe they
the
don't need it. Maybe
inverse,
they don't want it.
and I think the inverse is true too, right? I mean, we assume that people know what we want,
Yeah.
or
Yes, we do.
or that, yeah, and why not tell them? Why not just say this is what I need, or this is what I want right now? And if they can't give that to you, that's fine. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Because we tend to not declare, but B, like we always remember that friend who like, someone died and they just sit with you, right? Like they're not
Mm-hmm.
trying to
mm,
fix you or cheer you up or anything. They just like are with you. And there's the sense of like, you get me, right? Like,
You get
mm,
me.
yeah, like I can just be in silent with you. It's just human to human.
Mm,
There's no fixing. There's no making you feel better. There's just like, I'm with you,
yeah.
you know,
Being
how
with,
powerful
I
that
think,
is.
is so powerful.
Yeah.
Not having to do anything, just literally being with somebody and wherever they're at.
It was so funny. Like one of the first women I lived with, right? Like I thought when I was living with someone, I was like, oh, we'll have sex every night. This will be awesome. And I remember that first night she was like, no.
And
And
you
I,
were like, what do you
and I
mean?
threw a little like, 20-year-old tantrum or whatever. Um, but like 3 or 4 nights later, I was like, how freaking cool it is that this person just wants to lay next to me. And there's like,
mm.
they don't get anything out of it, right? You're just sleeping. And I was like, oh, it's just like to like flip the whole script. You're like, oh, that's so cool. Like that's someone who would just lay with you, right? So it's so funny, it's like it is that like, what do you want? What do you need?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. Firstly, that was so sweet. But you're totally right. Like
Well,
the
now when I was throwing
power.
my fit, it wasn't sweet.
But like the power of, as you said, flipping the script, looking at it at the same thing from a different perspective. And then
Yeah.
even one layer deeper is looking at it from the perspective of checking in of like, what is it that you actually want? Right? What you wanted was connection and
Right.
intimacy and love.
Right.
And you realize that actually
Yeah.
you were generating that.
Yeah. 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 So cool.
Cool. Awesome. Well, this was so fun. How
Yeah.
was
I'm
your
glad you're
first
holding this.
Instagram live?
Yeah. Well, considering I haven't posted on Instagram yet, I think that would be, pretty rare. So it's cool.
This is
I
awesome.
was trying to get
This
to
is
it from
awesome.
my computer. That wasn't very helpful. So my phone was
Mm.
definitely very helpful.
That was part of the
And
issue.
I bet it's like browser related too. Like maybe a certain browser could work well. But
Mm.
Well, that's good to know so that we can share with the other humans
Yeah.
in the future. So thanks. Thanks for being patient with us. Thanks for being so committed to being with us. Thanks for just being like a
Oh my God.
fucking like rock star.
Thanks for holding the
Mm.
space, right? Like, thanks for generating conversation, getting people connected. Super powerful.
You're the best. Well,
Yeah.
thank you. We will talk to you soon.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.